Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ninja Warrior podcast. Tonight, it's 10 in the morning.
It's very dark out, people. Very dark out.
Okay, never mind. But, today is finally the day. It's been, almost a month since we did that video talking about the Stage 5 Ninja Awards and announcing the nominees. The reason why it us so long to record this was because I wanted the tribute videos supposed to come up and that was supposed to show you guys in like a minute or so to be finished before we recorded. And that is just because I didn't want to be stalling. I wanted to make sure it was done right. So I thought tribute comes first. Once that's finished, I'll hand it over to the filming process. We'll record the episode. We'll edit it down, and within a week or so, that would be done. And I honestly didn't really care how long it would take. It was just like something that would happen. I knew it was probably the most efficient way I could do it without it seeming like it's just for a process. And yesterday, I was able to wrap up the tribute, and today, we are finally recording the Stage 5 Ninja Awards 2014.
Yes, this is something we've been wanting to do for like ever. Honestly, we wanted to find W13, but we never did it because of reasons. And yeah, but we did play W12, and that was fun. And this summer we actually have some fan voted categories to go over as well as our own vote.
Yup, as we mentioned in the original nominees video, we have several. We have 10 different categories that we set up polls for on a community post, and you guys voted for them. And now we actually have some fan input as well as our own. So there are going to be two categories, the fan and our versions. And today we are just announcing the results and the winners. And yeah, it's going to be quite fun, I would think.
You think?
It's like the most boring thing we've ever done ever.
That's honestly the point. Honestly.
I don't know, but anyway, without any further ado, let's get into this.
Take the road less traveled. Yeah, choose my battles. Oh, you know that's who I am. Oh, I've come unraveled. I've had cages rattled. Oh, this is where we stand. Come with me and we will fly away. Run with me and we will seize the day. This is the moment. This is the moment. Looking up, something more. All the things we waited for. The moment. This is the moment. I spend my days just waiting and anticipating, and I knew the time would come. All the colors painted while our stars were faded. I know I'm not the only one. Come with me and we will fly away. Run with me and we will seize the day. This is the moment.
Alright, so the very first category in our order here is the breakout male performance. This is for male rookies. The way we're going to be doing this is that we're going to talk about the fan vote. We're going to talk about our voting, our winners first, and then talk about the fan vote later. As like the second bridge of defense and for each category. So our voting for this breakout male performance. The nominees were Jackson Odas, Matt Domingo, Ethan Barnicki, Jeremiah Boyd, and Evan Andrews. With the winner obviously being Matt Domingo on our side of things.
Yeah, this one was pretty easy because Matt Domingo, he made it all the way to the flying ball as a rookie. Like, he did super well.
Yeah, it was almost a no-brainer, and honestly, it just makes the most sense. Second place, it was kind of debatable, but we decided to go with Jackson Odas, mostly because of name recognition and stuff, and he got a second chance via I think Najee Richardson getting COVID and not being able to go to Vegas. So he got a second chance via that, and he used that to get all the way to stage 2. And it's just the fact that, I was not expecting Odas to be able to compete this year, that, he wouldn't be old enough, but he was. And honestly, it was just cool to see him, honestly.
Yeah, I get that. Jeremiah Boyd was another Ninja Junior veteran who had to be on the first season and almost won it. And I believe he was in the top 4, but then failed to make it past Nate Pardo. But that was about it for him. Then he came on the show and did really well, getting like the Mega Wall and such. Despite a lot, Jeremiah Boyd also did really, really well. Just lacked screen time.
Yeah, he was never really shown. He was shown during qualifiers and semifinals, but he wasn't shown in Vegas, which is a little disappointing. But it's understandable, I guess. It's for fourth place here. It's a little bit of a tough pick because we have two people who did really well, and we have Ethan Warnicki and Evan Andrews. Ethan made it kind of far, make it all the way to stage 3, while Evan Andrews was probably more on the well-known side of things, but went less so. So it's kind of hard for me to really place them ahead or behind each other. So kind of tying them here for last place, but still incredible athlete, still incredible ninjas.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan made it all the way to stage 3 this week. Like, that was still really good. He got plenty of showtime by the show.
Yeah, I think he was only fast forwarded on stages 2 and 3, so really good on him for that one, because that's kind of way to see nowadays.
Yeah, if you notice, all of these ninjas got one fully shown each at least. Some of them got 2, but you see where we're coming from with that one.
Yeah, on the fan vote side of things, we had Matt Domingo as the unanimous winner and a whole 91% voting in his favor. We had Evan Andrews in second place with only 7%. Ethan Barnicki in third place with only 2%. With Jeremiah Boyd and Jackson Odas not even getting a single vote in their favor, which is honestly quite sad.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like part of it might have been your vote because these votes, this one has 45, the next one has 43, but then, it gets higher and higher as you go up the list, so it seems like just people didn't just scroll.
Yeah, it's like the mouse doesn't even exist, but yeah, that's essentially what ended up happening. And yeah, I'll be honest, I'm kind of surprised. We said Jackson Odas would probably win because of name recognition. Apparently not.
Nope. Heck no. He got literally no votes along with Jeremiah Boyd, the other popular person who was also, known for Ninja Junior.
Yeah, you think. Next up, we have the breakout female performances. So for female rookies, on our side of things, the winner was pretty obviously Katie Bone, mostly because, again, she made it really far, she did really well, got too much showtime by the show. Seriously.
I like how you phrase it as too much. Yes, it is really true.
Yeah, she got so much showtime because she had diabetes, and that's the only reason why they showed her so much. And it's kind of unfortunate. It's just they really do just bank on these people who have diseases who in theory wouldn't let them compete as well. It's just kind of interesting in that way. And yeah, honestly, in second place it was difficult to go for just to see, but second place. So we decided to go for Karen Potts, as she went farther than any other woman in the city finals, as well as made, of course, the Vegas and did Pretty okay. She went out on the first obstacle, but still really good. Like rookie year for her. It's kind of difficult to say like that she did really well, but yeah, she did like extremely well. And after that we have Jordan Carr in third place. It was difficult to pick for this one, mostly because Jordan Carr, she did not advance to Vegas, but she technically had the better achievement, being the only one of only two female rookies that hit a buzzer, and of course having name recognition of Marina B. Jr. as well.
Yeah, honestly, it was really cool to see. I was not expecting to see, just like Jackson Odas, I was not expecting to see Jordan Carr this season, but we saw anyway. It was really cool to see her as well.
Yeah, Taylor Green, she's not gonna be. I don't think she's gonna be old enough to compete till season 16, but it's just a point. Like Taylor Green, that's the other one, and that I'm really excited to see how far she'll go on the show. Like actually, because she is probably the top woman in AMG right now.
Yeah. She's made it to the finals twice. She's really the only female who can really stand toe-to-toe with the other male teenagers. So it's really cool that she's able to stand toe-to-toe with them. And, if she gets in the show, it will be interesting to see how far she goes. And, of course, Jordan Carr is kind of just show to of that. But I am very curious to see if it's going to be like a fluke thing, or is it like she's going to keep on going. Very curious.
Yeah. Anyway... for fourth and fifth place, the last two competitors, Isabella Adkins and Annabella Heinrichs, two competitors who were definitely difficult to pick from in terms of trying to separate them. Isabella Adkins made it to the warp wall twice and then was cut in Vegas. Made it to the warp wall in both qualifiers, semifinals, and was cut in Vegas. Annabella Heinrich, she had a good run in the qualifiers, making it to the fifth obstacle, but wasn't really notable after that. So I think at that point, it would be Isabella Adkins for fourth place and Annabella Heinrich for fifth place. But still, very difficult to choose from.
Yeah, the fan vote was also pretty unanimous. Well, Katie Bone got a unanimous was a huge number of votes, 88%, and was pretty much the big winner here.
Yeah, Jordan Carr claimed second place, 12% of the vote, and everyone else got no votes whatsoever, which is really funny to me.
Yeah, Cameron Potts, Isabella Adkins, and Annabelle Heinrich did not get any votes, which could easily be because they weren't really all that well known. Like, I had to get reminded who they were when we were going to do this, actually.
Yeah, that's the way we personally see it. But, yeah, I guess that's, like, what you get for, like, a fan base is that, like, not even 100 people vote in the poll. Yeah, it depends on the poll, but yes. Moving on, the next category is for the best comeback season. Basically, people who fell early and came back to do really well or something like that. Our nominees were Flip Rodriguez, RJ Roman, Ethan Swanson, Barclay Socket, and James McGrath. Now, obviously, the winner here is without a doubt Flip Rodriguez.
Yeah, Flip, man, like, this was no doubt going to be Flip Rodriguez. Like, the comeback season for him, like, he went out, he had, like, one of his worst seasons last year. Going out in the city finals and not moving on, you can tell he was disappointed himself. And then he comes back to hit 3 buzzers, including stage 2, which he hadn't hit yet. And now, this is his best season. And I honestly do hope he'll beat this record and win eventually, but, I don't feel like that's going to happen, but I think we'll see.
Yeah, I might be a little bit jumping the gun now, but yeah, definitely. Second place is definitely difficult, but I would probably say a RJ Roman. Again, it's tough to pick, but it makes a lot of sense for it to be RJ because RJ, he fell on stage 1 surprisingly last season, but then he went all the way to stage 4 and was one of the 5 last men standing on that stage and almost won. So really, yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Yep, and then we have the last 3, which was difficult, I will admit, to pick through. Third place, we decided to give to James McGrath because, well, yes, his comeback season was very short-lived. It was still widely known and very celebrated on mostly in the qualifiers.
Yeah, he was a big part of that episode. The edit gave him a lot of showtime, and it's cool, honestly. It's really good that he got showtime during the edit for that. Like, if he didn't, it would have been so fucking stupid.
Yeah, it would have been dumb. Alright, the last two ninjas are Barclay Socket and Ethan Swanson. I think Ethan Swanson deserves the 4th place spot, mostly because he's a well-known ninja. You know, he deserved, he did really well on stage 1, and, he's just like a ninja who we knew could go far, and it was kind of disappointing to see him go out in the semifinals last season.
Yeah, it was really surprising. And then in 5th place, obviously, we have Barclay, but nothing towards her. I mean, she still had a really good comeback season to where she, fell in the qualifiers last season and hadn't competed in AEW 12 due to her mother dying and her trying to grieve over that. And then, this year, she did, pretty standardly in the qualifiers and semis, and then did a fell in the first up to in Vegas. But, she got a lot of showtime this season, and plus, despite the show really putting it out there and forcing it down our throats, it is good to see her coming out as being a lesbian. Not to really put too much foresight on that. It's just, the point that she was able to come out and say that. And I think that's just, something we should know on that as well.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of like the reason. It's kind of like Hawaii. It's kind of hard to pick between her and Swanson. I can really see it go either way on that one. So you might not agree with our picks on that one, which is, again, why we did a fan vote.
Yeah, the fan vote on this one was really interesting. We had Football Rodriguez with a very high takeover with 86% of the vote. We had RJ Roman and Jason Graff tied for 2nd place, 6% each. We had Barclay Socket coming 4th with 2% of the vote, and Ethan Swanson got literally no votes, which is honestly, again, kind of funny.
Yeah, once again, I find it really interesting how, for all these categories, there was just one person who got no votes whatsoever, and then one person who got a ton of votes that took over the category entirely.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Next up, we have the Best New Obstacle, which had the nominees Final Frontier, Box Office, Kaleidoscope, The Salmon Roll, and Chop It Up. Here, the winner is going to be Final Frontier, mostly because of the design. I think it's a kind of creative obstacle, having it just be a center of planets. I know a lot of people are kind of just like, well, you hated Carnival, why do you not hate this? And, well, it doesn't feel, overly gimmicky. Carnival is probably one of the most gimmicky obstacles we've had in AEW. While Final Frontier, yeah, it's design heavy, but honestly, it looks cool. That's kind of why.
Yeah, I again, we agree on that, which is why it won. 2nd place, that had to go to Salmon Roll, because again, it was still a really cool spin on an obstacle, on 2 different obstacles. One we hadn't seen in a while, and one that has been very formulaic as of late, and yeah, honestly, it was a nice spin on it, and of course, it took out a lot of ninjas, and honestly, I hope it does come back next season because it was a good obstacle.
Yeah, it was yeah, definitely. Then we have, of course, the 3. I think Box Office and Kaleidoscope can easily tie for 3rd place here, because honestly, it just makes sense. Box Office and Kaleidoscope, they both had huge knockout rates. They were both cutoff points for Vegas and whatnot, and they were both very similar obstacles, but nothing towards either of them, and they were both pretty good in their spots. Last place goes to Chop It Up, and honestly, this was kind of just here because we were running out of space, and I thought, hey, I guess this is kind of original, I guess it could kind of work, but it's kind of only here because I didn't really want to put tetherball there because I hate that obstacle.
I mean, good point. I mean, you didn't put any of the carnival-themed obstacles here either.
No, because I hate them. I hated that theme, I hated that idea, so putting them here would not really reflect my true opinions on that. On the fan vote side of things, the winner ended up being Salmon Roll with 77% of the vote. We have 2nd place went to Final Frontier with 10% of the vote. Box Office at 8%, Kaleidoscope at 6%, and Chop It Up had no votes whatsoever. And, yeah, I think it's pretty easy to see why. Salmon Roll was probably the coolest obstacle in there. Not visually, but, it was a spin on two different obstacles, combined them together to one really cool obstacle that kind of flipped the mentality of the qualifiers, and honestly, it was still really cool to see. And I do wish it does come back next season.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised Final Frontier took second. Like, I would think, like, it's kind of close for, like, second place, because, like, if you say it's 10, 8, 6, like, it is really close, also for the results. But, it was fine, and of course, Chop It Up. I think, like, Chop It Up, it was seen on stage 3, and it's likely to never be seen again. So, like, I can kind of see why it wasn't really picked up by anyone, but, I can see it.
Yep, now we have probably the most interesting of all the categories, the most shocking fail, which is one of only a couple of categories to hit 100 votes. This one having the most at 123. Our nominees were Sean Bryan's Stage 1 fail, Adam Ware's fail on Hopscotch in the semifinals, Vance Walker's fail on the Jumping Cycle on Stage 1, Jason LeBlanc's fail on Clockwork in the semis, and finally Austin Gray's fail on Tetherball during Stage 1. It was a really tough one. The shock value kind of depends on how the show edits it. But we decided, fuck how the show edits it. What about, like, the competitor as a whole? That would be more, like, recognizable. That would make more sense for this kind of way. And that's kind of what we did here. That's why we did Sean Bryan's fail. Even though, like, the way the show edited it and placed it in the one order, it was kind of obvious what was going to happen. But still, it was still surprising to see, and even just on a personal level, I would still claim Sean Bryan as the winner here. Because, like, I just wouldn't expect him to fail so early. It kind of reminds me of season 11 a little bit, because, like, Sean, he did fine in the qualifiers, hitting a buzzer, but then he fell on the 8th obstacle in the semis, and then he fell on Stage 1. To end in Season 11, it was because of an injury, but still, it was surprising. And, Sean Bryan is one of the most consistent ninjas, and, we expect him to go to Stage 3 easily, because he did it twice in a row, and, before Caden, he was the one with that record. So, yeah, definitely. Heading into second place territory, it was definitely difficult, but I would definitely tie the second place runner-up position between Adam Whale and Jesse LeBlanc in the semis, mostly because the shock value of those fails was probably quite high.
Yeah, like, I don't think I expected Adam Whale to fail that early, and LeBlanc as well. Like, LeBlanc especially, I don't know why it just hits really hard for me, because LeBlanc, she hit the city finals buzzer the last 3 seasons. So, just to see her go out super early is surprising. And, DeGanti went out on Hopscotch as well. So, they both went out really early and were not able to trailblaze like they usually do. And, of course, LeBlanc probably would have made it back to Stage 2 again, and if she had made it to Vegas.
Yeah, I would think. It's still really disappointing. And then that, of course, leaves us with Vance Walker and Austin Gray. Going by name recognition and shock value, I would probably place Austin Gray in the 4th place spot, and then Vance in the 5th. But honestly, it could really go either way here.
Yeah, fully. It could definitely go either way, and it's definitely a tough pick. But the fan vote is when things get kind of interesting. As once again, this was the most popular category and had the most people voting for it, and it was kind of close. Sean Bryan had 59% of the vote, so he was obviously the winner. But going back down to the second place, we have some pretty close voters. We have Jessica Black's semifinals, 15% of the vote, and she came in second place. We had Vance Walker and Austin Gray's fails tying for third at 11% each, and Adam Whale surprisingly in last with 5% of the vote.
Yeah, really surprising to me that, he wasn't like second place or something. But, it just, I guess, just depends on how the fans feel. Maybe because, Vance and Austin, they're some of the newer stars here. And, of course, they did really, really well last season. I mean, both of them made it to stage 3, so I can see why that'd be surprising that they have a kind of a lackluster year, and both of them fail pretty surprisingly on stage 1. Especially Vance, because, Vance was popped up a lot in the season 13 edit, and then he's given given a full 1, yeah, but then he's given 2 fast forwards, and he fails on all 3 of those ones he's given. And it's honestly surprising because, Vance was, again, a consistent ninja. He did really well. He had a reputation for never failing on a course until stage 3 on last season. So it was honestly surprising to see him go out super early. But I can definitely see it. You see it, and LeBlanc just makes sense.
Yeah, again, LeBlanc, it just makes sense. And Sean Bryant, I can say that one because, it's Sean Bryant. You don't expect him to go out super early and, getting popped up in the edit and whatnot. It's just not him.
Yeah, no, he's super well known and stuff. Alright, so now we have, going back up, we have the Ninja Killer of the Year. Basically, the obstacle that obstacles with high knockout rates pulled out for voting opportunities. The nominees were Kaleidoscope, Clockwork, Hopscotch, Box Office, and the Salmon Roll. Now, obviously, some of these obstacles have appeared in the Best New Obstacle, and notably Box Office, Salmon Roll, and Kaleidoscope, while Hopscotch and Clockwork were completely new. I personally think it was quite obvious that Hopscotch was going to be the winner here. And all 3 of us kind of agree on this one. Hopscotch was a big ninja killer, took out a lot of ninjas, just had a lot of shocking fails under its belt. I had to talk with Jay Lachey about it soon after the episode had aired, and he's just like, yeah, that thing looked really difficult, and it claimed so many people, and Jay was there watching it live. So that's also another thing to take note as well. Jay wasn't on the obstacle. I think he had a Kaleidoscope episode.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, but just the fact that even he saw it that way, and the obstacle itself was really difficult. And honestly, I don't know if I want it to come back. I think it's more just I hate the naming for it and the design of it, but just the idea of an obstacle claiming a lot of victims like that, I do like the idea of it. It's fine enough. Just the people that it took out was surprising. And was surprising. For runner-up, it was really difficult to pick. We decided to go with Salmon Roll as, well, yes, it wasn't really second place for Ninja Killer. It still took out plenty of ninjas and was still really deadly, especially during the first qualifier. It took out a lot of ninjas in that round, and I'm pretty sure was the threshold for that night in terms of who was moving on and who wasn't.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Third place, it was a tough pick, but we decided to go with Box Office because, it's interesting to say, but Box Office, it's a very particular obstacle. You need to know you need to grab it right. You need to have enough grip strength to get through that final shade to the small box, and it's obvious why that grabbed a huge amount of people, because the people who weren't grabbed by Hopscotch were almost most definitely brought down by this obstacle.
Yeah, it took out Sean Bryant, it took out Hunter Gerard, it took out just so many veterans and so many people. Yes, most of those people, I think all of them actually, ended up moving on. But it's just kind of the point here we're trying to make with that.
Yeah, and then we have Kaleidoscope and Clockwork. And it's honestly difficult to pick between the two. I think they can tie for last place, honestly, and just leave it at that.
Yeah. I don't see really the way you can really put them one over the other because neither of them are really that good of obstacles in the grand scheme of things. And plus, they grab just a similar amount of people. Kaleidoscope is really only instrument because it took out James McGrath and Jordan Carr. And Clockwork is only infamous because it took out Jesse LeBlanc and Tiana Weberly. So, really, it depends on your preference. And, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, moving on to the fan vote, Hopscotch grabbed 69% of the vote. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised there was one had that.
Yeah. Moving on, we have Box Office in second place with 12% of the vote. Then Sam and Woe in third with 9%. Kaleidoscope in fourth with 7%. And finally Clockwork in fifth with 2%. And I think it can definitely make sense. And it depends on opinions. But definitely, with all the other obstacles, and especially Hopscotch alone, I can see why these guys did not win at all. Moving on to the next category, Stealthiest Ninja Award. This category was for the ninja that was basically shown the least in the edit, but definitely deserved it. The nominees were Vance Walker, Caden Mazerin, Cam Bobgarner, Kevin Corbo, and Matt Domingo. Our own decisive personal vote. I think it was pretty obvious who was going to win this one. It's definitely Cam Bobgarner. Because he got 4 fast forwards and 1 mid one. He made it all the way to fucking stage 3. And he was barely shown for more than a minute until stage 3.
Yeah, it was really disappointing how much showtime he really did not get this season, and he really deserved it. He should have gotten at least 1-1 fully shown, and they just said no.
Yeah, like he really deserved it as a whole. Second place for us, Caden Mazerin. That was definitely the easy pick because, Caden... it's kind of weird. A lot of people may not know Caden all that well, which is why he didn't do too well on the fan vote, which we'll get to in a sec here. But for me, I feel like Caden deserves more showtime, cause he's barely ever shown.
Yeah, I think he got 2 fast forwards that season and 1 shown one, and then he gets 2 cut ones and a fast forward. Like, not all that much better stats. In fact, they're worse.
Yeah, I think Caden should have at least been given 3 fast forwards. At least given a mention that he competed this season instead of ignoring his existence. And, platonically, too. Because, again, they, mentioned him in the qualifiers, but didn't show us one at all. Moving on with that. Third place. It was difficult to pick, honestly. But Matt Domingo goes into that spot because, well, yes, he got 2 shown ones. He got 3 fast forwards, one of them being that stage 1 one that was maybe a couple seconds long. So really, he kind of deserves it. He made all the way to the flying bar. So really, I feel like people would be probably hating on us if we didn't put him in at least a somewhat high spot, even though there was a fan vote as well.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. Moving on from that, we have Vance Walk. We have Sumokman at his left. And it really goes either way with this one, honestly. Where Vance Walker had 1 shown one and 2 fast forwards, while Kevin Colbone got 2 fast forwards and 1 cut one. If you want to go statistically, then yeah, Kevin Colbone should probably win this. But name recognition wise, I would probably go with Vance because again, Vance probably should have been given more showtime, and his fail on stage 1 could have been worth more of a damn. But Kevin Colbone also has that spot to his cut 1 was a surprising fail on stage 1 that you wouldn't expect from him.
So yeah, that probably would have been my sock and fails video. If he was actually shown in that episode, things probably would be different with that video. But really, it can go either way. Depends on who you think is more worth time and who you like more. We have, for the fan vote, it's really interesting. We have Matt Domingo as the clear winner here with 70% of the vote. And then we have second place goes to Cam Bobgarner, who got 15% of the vote. I find that really interesting. Because again, I feel like Matt Domingo got there because of how far he went. But honestly, I was expecting Cam Bobgarner to win 100%.
Yeah, we even said it in the video. It made the most sense to us. And again, we claimed him as the winner, but the fans claimed Matt Domingo and him as the winner up.
Yeah, moving at the other results, we have Vance Walker in third place with 7% of the vote. Kevin Colbone in second place. Kevin Colbone in fourth place at 5% of the vote, and Caden Mazerin in last place with 2% of the vote. Again, we mentioned earlier with Caden, but I think it kind of makes sense why it was kind of just like a biased perspective with me. Like, I honestly feel like he should get more showtime for how good he usually does. Again, he hits qualifying buzzers, and he does quite well for being, a rookie and stuff. So, to me, it's just really disappointing the way they actually give him showtime in the edit, but I think it's because of that is why he probably lost this as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason here, but moving on from that, we have the last two categories.
Yep, we have two more, and these will actually a little bit close here, with the next category probably being the closest. That being the second most popular, 139 votes, the best female ninja of the year. The nominees were Addie Herman, Abby Clark, Katie Bone, Karen Potts, and Brooklyn Stockett.
Yep, our vote, the winner was obviously going to be Addie Hillman. She did really fucking well, getting all the way to the top of the warp wall and fell on the dipping buzz. And easily could definitely clear if she's like just a little bit more speedy. And yeah, honestly, she's up there with Isabella Wakeham as probably the women I would consider the most likely to clear stage 1 in the near future.
That list, I guess could be considered now. Addie Herman, Isabella Wakeham, Abby Clark, and Tiana Webley. All have made it over the warp wall and have a pretty good shot at it right now. And are pretty prominent as well, as they're competing every year. They've shown to be done really well. They've improved over the years. I guess Megan Martin could also go on that list, and Barclay as well. But those two haven't gone that far in a while. And I think it would need a really substantial one from either of them to get up that list. Or, for them to surprisingly clear. But it would be really awesome to see them, especially Megan, because, she's had a lot of build-up for that kind of moment as well.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Moving on, we have second place, which we were going to give to Abby. Which we are going to give to Abby Clark. Because, again, she made it just as far as Addie Hillman, has even more name recognition. And, she's really good. She deserves more screen time, in my opinion. And, considering just, everything that happened with her this season. But, what she got was fine. And I think her one was a cool one to end stage 1 on, as that's kind of how they did it in the show.
Yeah, her one was technically not the last, it was Nate Hansen's, but one of them, and obviously was the last one we covered, before we wanted to cut ones then, because of the way we structured the stage 1 an episode. But, yeah, honestly, third place was definitely difficult, but we went with Katie Bone simply because, she did really well. She's the only one of this group that hit a qualifying buzzer, and yeah, honestly, she was a really big trailblazer. She's the only one of these women to get all 3 of her ones fully shown by the show. So, yeah, it was just a difficult choice, but really cool to see. Fourth place is really difficult, but we decided to go for Barclay. She was mostly here because we needed at least one really well-known veteran, and Barclay did quite well, so we decided to pop her in here, along with Karen Potts, who was a rookie, but, did really well in the semis and whatnot, so we felt like she deserved to be here, but it's kind of understandable why she got last. She isn't really all that well-known, and she didn't do too well, but again, was still, a standout amongst the women who did really well.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. It's a little bit unfortunate that's the way we have to decide this. But, yeah, moving on to the fan vote, we had 139 votes, and the winner was Addie Herman with 53% of the vote.
Yep, it's kind of obvious why this was the case, again, for this woman. After that, we have Brooklyn Stockett taking second place with 24% of the vote, which surprised me. But even more surprising, we have Katie Bone taking third place with 14% of the vote.
Yeah, then we get Abby Clark with 7% and Karen Potts with 3%. Karen Potts makes so much sense, but, it's kind of unfortunate that, the fact that Abby Clark got 4th, but yet she made it just as far as Addie Herman.
Yeah, again, name recognition might be the reason, but how much she was shown on the show as well. Because again, I think her stage one was the only fully shown one, and I believe it was also a mid one as well.
Yeah, but once again, depending on the show paces it, except that sometimes is what dictates it. Which, if I'm being honest, is kind of unfortunate, but it's the show's choice, not ours.
Yeah, no, the show is stupid, and honestly, if I ever go to an AW taping, I would love to film every single one and then pop them onto a full cut view of the episode showing every single one.
Yeah, it would be quite interesting, because Ninja Wiki doesn't even show the full results of everyone. They just do the top 30, and that's it, because that's what the show really tells us about. But yeah, if you go to official pages and whatnot, they will sometimes mention competitors who did compete on AW 13 but were cut and never mentioned, and just went on really early or something. They always do that. It's just that they aren't. They always do that. It's just it's not mentioned on the show. And yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that's kind of the fate of things, but yeah.
Alright, so we have the final category, the final one that we put out for you guys to vote for, and that is the best male ninja of the year, which was pretty obviously between the 5 people who made it to stage 4. These being Caden Lapsek, Josh Levin, RJ Roman, Josiah Papel, and Jay Lachey Lewis. These guys, it was kind of obvious, going into this. It was really difficult to pick. But the winner of this category was obviously the last ninja standing, Caden Lapsek. And yeah, I think you guys can probably understand why. It's usually quite obvious who's going to win the male ninja of the year. It's just whoever goes the farthest. And Caden's still pretty well known as well. Caden is probably going to be one of those consistent ninjas. If he makes it back to stage 3, he will tie Joe Mawlowski for most stage 2 finishes in a row. And he will set his own record by most stage 3 finishes. And she already has, because he's the only one to go to stage 4 twice, especially in a row. But, no, it makes the most sense, and Kane just has a way good track record overall.
Yep, in second place, we decided to give it a tie between Josh Levin and Jay Lachey Lewis. Josh Levin, he is probably has the best story out of everyone. He has competed for the longest. He has probably he is very well known. He's very popular, and honestly, he was probably my vote for the winner, in my opinion, just because his status and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it would have been better if him and RJ, the only 2 non-teenagers here, would have been the winners. It would have been a little bit weird if RJ won, because again, he kind of cheated to get there, but Josh, it made sense, and he had a good career story to really back that up, unlike Caden, who's just he's lost twice. It's kind of unfortunate. It's really weird how that ends up going. Moving on from that, at third place, it goes to RJ Roman, and honestly, it's really hard to say. It could go either way with this one. If you just like Josiah Papel more, you can easily pop into 4th place, and it makes sense. But in our opinion, yeah, it makes sense for Caden to go there. It makes sense for RJ to go there, but obviously that's your choice.
Yep, going over to the fan vote side of things for one last time, we had Caden Lapsek with 68% of the vote. In second place, we had Josh Levin, 16% of the votes. Jay Lewis with 9% of the vote in third. RJ Rowan with 5% of the vote in fourth. And finally, Josiah Papel with literally 1% of the vote in last.
Yeah, this was the most popular category at 186 votes total. And, yeah, I can kind of see why. It's at the top of the list, so it makes the most sense. But honestly, it's kind of a no-brainer to see why Caden Lapsek was the winner. But it was kind of more interesting to see who came out on top in the second and third place spots. And that is kind of the case for all of these. Because, as you probably can see if you look back at my community post, the voting results, Caden, the obvious winner here, the winner of these categories had a huge number of votes compared to everyone else, but everyone else was literally taking, the table scraps. of like all the competitors who just wouldn't take votes.
Yeah, and going back to the early categories, the breakout female and breakout male performance, they had like 2 or 3 ninjas who had no votes whatsoever because like not everyone ended up voting for those categories.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of weird to me. After the 4th poll, we finally get to some polls that have votes for everything, but still, it's pretty unanimous who ends up winning. And I can't even say it's really disappointing. Like, it's honestly, this is way better than last year, the way, we just had to talk about our own decisions on who won. And it was kind of disappointing in that way. But this season, people actually voted, and we had things to talk about and whatnot. And the funnier part is that this is going to be even longer than the original podcast than last year's because of the tribute, which is I believe about 5 minutes.
Yeah, right now it's about as long as last year's, but obviously it's going to be longer, as he just said. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Ninja Warrior Podcast.
Yep, that is going to do it. We are done. The last thing we plan to do for this year, unless like something else comes up, it's going to be Sasuke 40. That will most likely come out next year, but that will be the last thing we will be covering for 2022 Ninja. Unless like when Ninja Junior comes out, we do plan to cover it in some form. We're still trying to figure it out, but once again, as we said, it will most likely be one episode talking about the highlights of the qualifiers, of the semis, of the quarterfinals, the semis, and the finals, and just talking about those, and they would be a lot easier to cover NW Junior for just in 4 episodes instead of 15 kind of short episodes that don't have too much value and just stall for a really long time. And that was kind of the problem with our coverage of it last year. But obviously, that's the way it's going to go. But I would like to thank you guys all for watching this 45-minute podcast, or like 50 or whatever. Just like, thank you for watching it. Thank you for voting if you did vote, and if you didn't, well, I hope you at least enjoyed the video, and at least enjoyed the idea of the Stage 5 Ninja ones as a whole. And it's definitely something I enjoyed doing as a whole. It's something I would love to do each year, and this year definitely felt a lot better to do so.
Yeah, man, it's good to come along for the journey as well as, yeah, honestly, really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, just being taken along, that's the experience right there. Just being able to help decide the voting and whatnot. And, yeah, it's really cool just to be a part of the experience and stuff. Yeah, I definitely see what you two mean, obviously. But next time is probably going to be Sasuke 40. And it's going to be in, like, 2 months. Like, we are going to be taking a really long break because the simple fact is that the podcast, it takes a really long time to make, takes a really long time to edit, and plus, like, once again, there isn't really too many Ninja things we can really have to cover after this. Like, there's no more specials until next year. We could cover National Ninja Week, but there's basically no point when, like, we personally just want a break. So, that's how we're gonna take it, so that's our sign-off for this year, and we probably won't be making another episode until next year when Sasuke 40 has been out for a little bit. But that is not really the last of my content for this year. I do plan to make other things. I teased a couple weeks ago when we did the Season 14 finale that I wanted to do a series where I talk about each one of the 4 stages, talk about the evolution and whatnot. That is definitely still happening, and that is a series I would love to roll out during December, like 1 week after another if I can. So if I can manage that, then hopefully I can do like 1 episode per week and have that close out the year. And it would be really cool to do so.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, obviously I'm going to be helping with the editing side of things, but that's going to be all you with the recording and whatnot.
Yeah, but again, I'll do it when I feel like it and do it right. And obviously, if that series keeps on going until next year, then that's okay too. It'd be a little disappointing, but that's fully okay.
Yeah, but anyway, like we said about, I think 3 times now, thanks for watching, everyone.
Yep, we've already said what we're doing next time. That's Sasuke 40 in a very long time for now, but be on the lookout for those National Finals videos. Those should be coming out within the next couple of weeks from now. And I'll let you guys know when those are ready. I think one last thing I want to let you guys know about is, like, I do plan to release maybe more montages as the beginning of 2023 moves on, and maybe at least 1 or 2 more this year. As a lot of people probably do want to see those, so I'll update like the fastest times, the stage 2 video, and get those all ready as soon as I can. But that's just whenever I have time to do so. This is our big endeavor, our big project, and now it's finally over. So we will see you guys next time for Sasuke 40, and whatever else you guys see if you guys see my solo content for the Vegas finals. And we'll see you guys next time for that. Peace.